Guys, this is hilarious. All right. Democrats still don't agree on the seriousness of their political problem after the election defeat. Dude, Democrats have an identity crisis, and it is highly apparent in the late night comedy segment right now, where they seem to be cannibalizing themselves and their own cultural standpoint and their status right now in the zeitgeist, dude. Especially when you look at some of the stuff that they got Jon Stewart going off on the Democrats about right now, dude. This is hilarious. Nearly a month after a devastating election loss that exposed cracks in the very foundation of the party, not just the very foundation of the party, their ability to establish narratives that anyone believes in has been completely lost. Dude, they talk about influencers. They're upset that there's right-wing influencers are getting all this attention. Where's the left-wing influencers? Y'all got left-wing influencers. No one listens to them anymore because they're wrong, and they're wrong, and they're wrong over and over again. And the only thing they have to offer is emotional rhetoric. And as soon as the conversation starts steering away from their narratives, they engage in ad hominems and just start insulting people and calling people fascist and saying, you don't even listen to that guy. Don't even listen to that guy, or we might call you a fascist too. Dude, come on, man. That's not how you maintain your PR game. That's not how you maintain control. Y'all won the cultural zeitgeist by being the big tent party. Do they forget that during the 80s and the 90s, when the Democrats built their base of support in the modern era, also coming off the 60s, but in the 80s and 90s was a reestablishment of the Democrats being the big tent party, the party of free speech. The Republicans were the conservatives that wanted to censor people's speech and censor this, that, and the third, and religion was dogmatic and trying to control everybody, and we're the party of freedom and let you be you, and now they've lost all that. Now they've lost all that, and they've almost created their own cultural religion of conformity. And how is that supposed to be? How is that effective? You've literally thrown out everything that made your party successful for half a century, and you're surprised when you lose all the benefits that came with it. Nearly a month after a devastating election loss that exposed cracks, they already said that, a number of Democrat leaders are downplaying the strength of Donald Trump's victory over Vice President Kamala Harris as the inevitable result of an inflation-fueled anti-incumbent backlash that shaped elections worldwide. But others are convinced that the Democrat Party is facing an acute crisis that requires an urgent overhaul of its brand, message, and economic policies. Dude, you know what I say? I say, hey, screw it. Keep the same message. Keep the same exact strategy, because I hate your policies. So why don't you just keep the same branding and we can just have stuff go the same way it's been going? Because people are moving more to the center, man. It's even the right is moving more to the center. We are all about classical liberalism, individual freedom, and allowing families to make their own decisions autonomously, man. We are not about control, whether it's conservatives trying to control in the name of a Christian society. Not that that's wrong. Not that a Christian society has been the foundation of successful societies throughout history. Absolutely, I agree with that. But to have a truly Christian society, it must be built upon voluntary association. You can't have a truly Christian society and a truly a moral and God-fearing society when you are putting your boot on people's necks and forcing them to toe the line. That's going to create resentment. That force is going to create resistance in the shape of culture, as we saw throughout the 60s, throughout the 90s, throughout the 40s, through the 50s, into the 60s. Trump swept every battleground state on November 5th, becoming the first Republican candidate to win the popular national vote since George W. Bush in 2004. He won the popular vote in 2004? Wow, that's interesting. He ran against Al Gore, didn't he? So he won the popular vote, and then the Dems were still calling foul on Florida's election counting. That's so interesting. And since then, Florida's gone so far red. The way history plays out is so interesting. Yet nearly half the country voted against him, with the final votes still being counted in some places. Wow, still being counted. We are in December, bro. Trump won the popular vote by just 1.6 percentage points. He carried the 7 swing states by about 760,000 votes. combined out of more than 151 million cast nationwide. Yeah, but he still took every swing state. He still took the popular vote. The glass is half full. It was close. If we get another 2% or 3% of American voters, it would have successfully led to victories from the presidency down, says Colorado Governor Jared Polis, who's leading a group called the Governors Safeguarding Democracy. Yeah, but you guys are not, your PR is not moving in that direction. Your approval rating is not moving in that direction. Nobody has faith in the Democrats or the left's ability to fix problems, not only because of what they've done in this country, but because of other neoliberal policies that mimic the policies, especially economic policies, that they desire to implement in order to solve some of these problems. Dude, Kamala Harris's economic policy profile that she was offering during the campaign was literally Venezuela's first step in their collapse. Like, it's wild. Like, her whole economic policy profile was literally just Venezuela 2.0. It was sad. It was sad trying to watch her advertise that. And I am so glad that we did not end up falling into that trap of that snowball effect that would have ended us in Venezuela's type of situation. But for Ken Martin, the chairman of the Minnesota Democratic Labor Farmer Party and a candidate to lead the Democrat National Committee next year, the election represented a damning indictment for the Democrat Party. People do not believe that the Democrat Party is fighting for them or for their families or gives a damn about their lives. Martin told the Associated Press, "We've lost ground with almost every group except for wealthy households and college-educated voters." Yeah, dude, you've become the party of the rich. You are how the rich, and this goes back into antiquity, okay? Because the Democrat Party has always been the party of slaveholders. Republican Party was started by freed slaves that entered Congress, okay? Like, the Republican Party from the beginning has been the party of freedom. The Democrat Party from the beginning has been the party of slavery, been the party of the rich, been the party of racism, and been the party of how do we keep these serfs on the plantation, okay? Dude, what was it? It was, Lyndon Johnson? What was it? Lyndon Johnson? Who said, I'll have these N-words voting for Democrats for the next 100 years? Dude, are you kidding me? These people never cared about you. The only difference was back then, you didn't have access, I didn't have access to information that would let us know their history of manipulation. They've never been the party of the people. They've been the party of the PR game. The internal debate over the health of the party comes at a critical moment. Trump will return to the White House on January 20th, claiming a mandate to enact a dramatic Make America Great Again agenda led by the mass deportation of millions of immigrants in the country illegally, an overhaul of the federal departments of health, education, and justice, and major import tariffs that threaten to strain the U.S. economy and international alliances. Like, wow, dude. So sad, bro. So sad. But if Kamala had won, I bet you anything they'd be so excited to start snowballing into Venezuela. So sad, bro. And they're acting like this is controversial when it's not. We know tariffs work. We know price controls don't work. We know price controls lead to worse inflation and things not being on the shelf. We know that tariffs help bolster domestic economies, and they don't inflate costs. There is an initial cost shock, right? As the domestic economy figures out a way to adapt. But tariffs are not an inflationary measure. There is not just first-order consequences. There are also second-order consequences. Life is not just what's happening in front of your face. What's happening in front of your face creates a ripple effect. And oftentimes, that ripple effect is more important than what you're seeing happening in front of your face. So we are so short-sighted as a society. We've been trained to be so short-sighted and have such a small attention span in terms of how it relates to our geopolitical environment and our economic environment that dude, we have to stop looking for the easy route now, the thing that feels good now, okay? You don't fix market conditions by handing people free money and telling companies you're not allowed to increase prices beyond this point. You fix market conditions by addressing the root causes of their issues. I've got an article on itschromo.com, guys. Please check it out. An alternative economy, and then also our inner city communities, both really focus on how we can create lasting long-term economic changes. Democrats, even diminished and divided, stand as the only organization resistance to Trump and his emboldened MAGA allies. There is no... Dude, the whole idea of Trump and his emboldened MAGA allies was made up by the Democrats as a narrative to garner support. So yeah, they would be the only ones standing in resistance to a fake boogeyman they invented that doesn't actually exist. That's part of the reason why they're losing support. You guys have to drop this demonization of the other side of the political aisle if you ever hope to have a place in our dialogue again. This is ridiculous. People don't see you as being safe. You have painted yourselves as the fascists because of how you are using your rhetoric. But for now, at least the Democrat Party has no leader and no agreement on the political problems that need to be fixed or how to fix them. So this whole thing that you're saying, so there's no leader and there's no cohesive narrative to provide solutions to people in the constituency, and the only thing you have is some PR game that failed for years, the past decade, that you're still trying to push? You're now trying to triple down on something that never worked in the first place? Many Democratic groups and leaders are working through the post-election analysis to better understand what went wrong on November 5th, but few are working together, and already some fear that disparate postmortems will produce competing recommendations likely to be lost in a rush to leave the pain of 2024 behind. Dude, that's what I'm hoping for, because these people, dude, they complained about every election they lost, right? And then in 2016, they started holding committees and hearings, breathing down Dominion's neck, okay? And then in 2020, right before the election, Dominion comes out and says, oh, don't worry, we know what direction it's going to go in. Google, Dominion, all these people working together in a cohesive fashion to try to push the culture in a certain direction is wrong. We don't agree with your policies. Not only do we not agree with your policies, we don't agree with the way you've manipulated the language of empathy and the way that you've inverted it. Because every single time we listen to you and every single time we buy your crap, people get hurt and everyone ends up in a worse position afterwards. So no, dude, we're done. It doesn't matter what you say out of your mouth. We don't believe you anymore, bro. Priorities USA, one of the Democrat Party's leading super PACs, is set to unveil its post-election findings this week. The group will recommend, among other things, that Democrats do a better job of listening to voters instead of pollsters while offering a more forward-looking, positive alternative to Trump's MAGA movement. Dude, what you gotta do is drop the emotional rhetoric. People want to hear about policies and people want to see statistics on the history of how those policies have been implemented in the past so they can compare them to the environment they're in now and determine whether the policies that you are presenting are going to be effective. Unless you embrace some left brain communication to mix into that emotional rhetoric, you're not going anywhere, dude. You're not gaining any ground. If they do not make significant changes, according to the preview of that briefing, Priorities believes there is no guarantee that key elements of the Democrat base, especially young people and voters of color, will return to the party in future elections. And also, if Republicans deliver on their rhetoric this time around, you are really going to have to do some work to bring people back, because y'all have nothing but promises and then ignoring people when they vote for you. So if the Republicans are able to actually deliver this cycle, dude, it's dead. Dude, it's dead. Now, if the Republicans are not able to deliver and it ends up being just another frustrated experience for people, that's a different story. And there's a real chance of this happening. But if the Republican Party delivers in this 4-year cycle and they figure out a way to deliver on policies, then it's dead. It's dead. And I think the Democrats know that. And I think that's why they're so focused on resistance. I think they want to just muddy the waters, prevent anything from getting done, and make this as frustrating of a 4 years as possible so that something like this could be a potential again in the future. Some of the loudest voices calling for Democrat changes represent the party's far left wing, which is often ignored by establishment Democrats who control the party's messaging, strategy, and policy platform. Wow. You know what, guys? Keep going this way. Keep going this way. Yeah, you know what? The problem is that you have not embraced the radical left enough. That's the problem. Trust me. Go as far left as you can. By the time you come back, I want to see you full-blown Trotskyites and like literally just holding hands with the MAGA communists. Why don't you do that? Why don't you do that, right? And then y'all can play that game 4 years from now. Let's do that. That would be a fun thing to witness, honestly. Wow, dude. Oh, dude. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders irked some party leaders the day after the election with a scathing critique. It should come as no great surprise that the Democrat Party, which has abandoned the working class people, would find that the working class has also abandoned them. Yeah, dude. Yeah. You know what should have happened? We should have had in 2016 Rand Paul versus Bernie Sanders. That would have been the election of the people. Did y'all notice how Bernie Sanders got totally sidetracked by Hillary Clinton, and basically his campaign got shut down? Dude, the Democrat Party has been ignoring the will of the voter for decades, dude. For decades. While the Democrat leadership defends the status quo, the American people are angry and want change, Sanders continued. And they're right. In the weeks since California Rep. Ro Khanna, a Sanders ally and potential future presidential contender, has been urging his parties to overhaul its economic message. Specifically, he's advocating for a new economic deal focused on high-paying jobs for the middle class. What does that mean? What does that look like? Because I have never seen the Democrat Party issue a successful economic deal, including FDR. I'm specifically referring to FDR and his Green New Deal right now, because it was an abject failure, and the only thing that saved us was World War II and the restructuring of our economy into a production economy during World War II, okay? We were floundering and had no solutions before that. Khanna's chief of staff, Marie Baldassar, said that some Democrats may be coming around to Khanna's messaging and willingness to share it on a podcast and right-leaning outlets such as Fox News. I don't know how you look at this election and don't take a beat. This time is the time to change. Why wouldn't we do some work right now? We didn't resonate at all. At all. Oh my God, you guys were basically just yelling at yourself in a mirror while everybody else was in another room enjoying the party. Democrat strategist Waleed Saeed, that's a fun name, Waleed Saeed, a former spokesperson for Justice Democrats and the uncommitted group that was critical of Joe Biden's primary nomination, said Harris's loss revealed that the party has a major problem with bleeding working class and low information non-college voters. Here's the thing. Why don't you guys let your party elect a nominee? Dude, you guys have done in multiple election cycles now, you've gotten pissed off that your base is not voting for the establishment Democrats that you want to be nominated. And so you've engaged in backroom deals to get everybody other than who you want nominated to drop out. And so they end up getting nominated de facto. Dude, is this a joke? Are you guys trying to pretend like you're not doing this on purpose? Literally, the Democrat establishment walks to their constituents and says, this is what you guys need to think. And when their constituents say, actually, we think something a little different, the Democrat establishment just then walks away and pretends their base thinks what they told them to think. Like, that's not the winning strategy, guys. That's not the winning strategy, dude. I don't know how it's a shock for you to find that out right now. He notes that some Democrat leaders have responded with a collective shrug. Many of the people at the highest levels of the party feel pretty lost. Good. I'm skeptical that they'll be able to create the kind of coalition they need for transformative change over our lifetimes. You're the party of slavery. You're the party of the rich. You're the party of suppressing the lower class, dude. Of course they're floundering. Their emotional rhetoric, their policies have nothing to do with helping the lower class. Their policies have to do with putting a Band-Aid on an infected wound, telling people, oh, don't worry because you can't see it, as everything just gets worse. And then they utilize the emotional rhetoric to make their party feel so guilty, they keep voting for them anyway, even though everything keeps getting worse. And they just try to keep convincing the constituents in their base that everything's getting worse because it's their freaking fault. And all they need to do is sacrifice a little more of their personal freedoms to the establishment and the establishment's policy ideas. That's ridiculous. It's a losing strategy. You guys are going to lose. I hope to God you guys are going to lose. The National Committee's upcoming election to select a new leader serves a litmus test for the party's direction. The DNC is expected to elect a new chair in February, a series of 4 candidate forums in January, according to... The DNC is expected to elect a new chair in February after a series of 4 candidate forums in January, according to an internal memo released last week. It remains unclear if the delegates will embrace a high-profile outsider or an insider more familiar with intricate workings of the party's political apparatus. That's interesting. I could see them going with a high-profile outsider to combat the Trump PR game. Their insiders, I don't see how they trust their insiders to even understand how to reach out to voters anymore. People are not responding to what you're doing anymore. And you've been doing the same thing for so long because it's always worked that I don't know what other cards you have left to play. So few are calling for wholesale changes. Wisconsin Democrat Party Chair Ben Wickler, who announced his candidacy for DNC chair on Sunday, said Democrats must embrace a new communication strategy to connect with voters who don't pay close attention to politics. He complimented Trump's command of the media landscape and suggested that his own party pay more attention to non-political and right-leaning podcasts and news networks. Yeah, dude, this is what being in an echo chamber gets you. I mean, this is why right-wing people and people on the conservative space like to come in and check out what Democrats are thinking, because we don't want to exist in an echo chamber. We want to come up with actual solutions. We want to walk over to your base and convince them to, hey, let's go to classical liberalism. Let's abandon neoliberalism. Hey, dude, all of these people, they don't care about you. They don't have a moral compass anyway. Their kids probably shouldn't be eaten anyway. Dude. Bro, Wickler was skeptical, however, that the 2024 election results signal a political crisis for his party. Oh, jeez. What we saw was a narrow shift to the right, driven the most by people most affected by inflation, who are paying the least attention to the news. That does not suggest a permanent shift towards Trump. I think that is a very real opportunity for Democrats to win back ground. He added, I also think Trump is very likely, more than likely to repeat history and be a disaster. Well, he wasn't a disaster in the first place. And then second place, you don't think the shift has anything to do with your rhetoric. This guy is literally just saying, yo, guys, don't worry. The voters are just stupid. They weren't paying attention. Their money's tight right now, so they went with Trump. Don't worry, man. They're not going to like him. They're going to come back. Dude, this guy's an idiot, bro. Drop this guy. You know what? Actually, keep him. And promote him, because we don't need your policies anymore, guys. Anyway, that's my whole thing on it. I thought it was kind of hilarious. These people are lost. They have no idea where to go, what to do, how to feel, and I love it. You love to see it, man. Dude, the tears, right? The leftist tears, right? I went down to DC the day after the election just to just to soak in the misery, dude. It was hilarious. There was this like rich lady in a cyber truck at a red light and like just sitting there crying with her hand on her forehead. Yo, it was so funny, dog. Anyway, all right, guys. I'll see you on the next one.